Okay, I am back. I was bounced off the internet just a few minutes ago. We're going to begin by going to God in prayer, and then I will introduce. We are about to begin our beginner's Hebrew language year 2 class, in which we will be studying lesson number 13, entitled Makef, which is a Hebrew word that means binder or binding. But first, we will go to God in prayer. Father in heaven, I pray that you'll open our understanding to understand this Hebrew lesson, and that we will be able to use it in future studies of the Holy Scriptures. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm now going to bring on the screen the Hebrew language lesson for today, entitled Makef, binder or binding, as you can see there on the screen. The general objectives for this lesson are: 1, to examine the meaning of Makef; 2, to examine English language examples of Makef; 3, to examine Hebrew language examples of Makef in the English translation in the Old Testament scriptures; 4, to examine the effect of Makef on words; 5, to examine the effect of Makef on accents; 6, to examine the effect of Makef on vowels; and 7, to examine tutorials on YouTube on Makef. The specific objectives are: 1, at the end of this lesson, the students will have defined Makef. 2, at the end of this lesson, the students will have identified 4 examples of the use of Makef in the English language. 3, at the end of this lesson, the students will have given 2 examples in an English translation of the Bible of the use of Makef. 4, at the end of this lesson, the students will have explained why Makef is used. 5, at the end of this lesson, the students will have described the effect of Makef on the words. 6, at the end of this lesson, the students will have described the effect of Makef on accents. 7, at the end of this lesson, the students will have described the effect of Makef on vowels. 8, at the end of this lesson, the students will have discussed what is taught in 2 tutorials on YouTube concerning Makef. Most likely, I will ask you to look at this on your own, rather than during class time, this last one here. Let us look then at the meaning of the Hebrew word Makef. Makef is a Hebrew word that is translated into English as binding or binder. As you can see at the edge of this booklet, there is a ring that is placed through the holes that hold the pages together so that they don't fall out. And so it is called a binder. There's another way to bind the pages, and that is by stapling staples in the edge, the sharp edge of this magazine. Another way of binding pages together is to put tape at the end of the book and make sure that all the pages are taped together. Or the traditional way of binding pages is to sew the leaves together at the edge here and to cover it with a cover. And so these are different ways of binding pages together. And so Makef has the basic meaning of binding or joining together. So we're going to be looking at the meaning of makef and the effect that it has on words and on also accents and vowels. Number one, makef is a Hebrew word which is translated into English as binding or binder or connection. Binding means to join together, like a binder which joins together pages in a book or a magazine. Makef joins two or more short words together, which are closely connected in meaning, into one word. It is a hyphen-like, just like you see the hyphen here between hyphen and like. It is a hyphen-like horizontal line which is placed between one word and another. In English, the same binding feature is seen in such phrases as father, then you have a horizontal line, then you have the word in, then you have another horizontal line, and then you have the word law, and it is pronounced like one word, father-in-law. And it's different in meaning from just father, because father-in-law means that this man is related to, let us say, this woman or this man through marriage. And so it is as if they become part of the family. And so through marriage, this man, who otherwise would not be having a connection with that man or woman, is known as father-in-law. And see these horizontal lines that join one word to another is the same thing that happens in the Hebrew language. Mother, then you have the hyphen or dash. In, then you have the hyphen or dash, and then you have law. Again, mother-in-law, that's one idea. And it is different from just saying the word mother, because mother-in-law means that this woman is now related to a man or a woman through marriage, the marriage of a daughter or the marriage of a son. And so someone who was not related before becomes related through their marriage to one of the children of this woman, this mother. And in that relationship, she is known as mother-in-law. The same thing is true with son-in-law and daughter-in-law, a son or a daughter who become related to a father or a mother because of marriage to one of the children of that father and mother. So the words that are joined together bring out the full meaning that one word could not communicate. Now, in the Bible, we have examples of this makef being written out in the English translation. And I will soon read different Bible passages where we find it. But before I turn to Genesis chapter 16, beginning at verse 8, I will introduce it as follows. In Hebrew, Be'er Lahairoi are four short words that are joined together or bound together because they are connected in meaning. When Hagar was pregnant and she was running away from her mistress, Sarah, an angel of God found her by a fountain of water in the desert and told her to return to her mistress and to submit to her, and that God would multiply her descendants. Therefore, Hagar named the fountain of water, and here's the translation. In the King James Version, it is left untranslated, and we're just given the Hebrew letters that that are written over by the corresponding English letters, Be'er, La, Hai, Roy. Be'er means well, and this dash and this La means of the. Hai means living one, and Roy means who sees me. So if it were to be translated into English, it would be well of the living one who sees me. And Hagar was saying, God sees my distress and has helped me by providing water for my son Ishmael to drink in the desert, or has provided water for me to drink in the desert. Well of the living one, that is God, who sees me. Now I'm going to be reading Genesis chapter 16, where Be'er Lahai Roy is written out, and the horizontal line that joins each of the four words together is what is known in Hebrew as Maketh. Genesis chapter 16, verses 8 through 14 reads, But Abram said unto Sarai, or rather verse 8, and he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou, and whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me. For she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Be'er Lahai Roy. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. So here we see an example of Maketh. Now, another example of Maketh is found in Genesis chapter 33, verses 16 and 18 through 20. And the background to this is when Jacob returned to the land of Canaan and saw that God had prevented Laban from hurting him, and that Esau, his brother, later accepted him in peace and did not take revenge on him, Jacob built an altar and called it in Hebrew, and the Hebrew is written out in the English translation by using the corresponding English letters. El Elohe Israel, which means God, the God of Israel. And so Genesis chapter 33, verse 16 and verses 18 through 20 reads, So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar and called it El Elohe Israel. So El Elohe Israel are three short words which are closely connected in meaning, and it refers to Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel in Genesis chapter 32 and verse 28. It reads as follows, "And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." So Jacob was also known as Israel. And what we have happening here is Jacob worshiping God for protecting him from both Laban and from Esau, and for providing him with his wives, children, flocks, and cattle. Jacob acknowledged the true God as his personal God, who had protected him and provided for him. Now let us look at the grammatical aspects of Maketh. Beginning in number 5, the Maketh has the effect of making the two or more short words that it joins together become one word. So what we have are at least two words being joined together to make one word. In English, we would say that it has one idea, but in Hebrew, it actually causes at least two words to become one word. Not just one idea, but one word. Now let us look at the effect of Maketh on accents and on vowels. As separate words, not connected by Maketh, each word has an accent. So if you have a Hebrew word standing by itself, and it is not connected to another word by this horizontal line called Maketh, it has its own accent. However, once the words have been joined together by Maketh and have therefore become one word, it is only the last word in the group of words which holds on to its accent. Let me repeat that. Once the words have been joined together by Maketh and have therefore become one word, it is only the last word in the group of words which holds on to its accent.
Right.
I need to also explain, go ahead.
So the Makkah are the two things surrounding the
Yeah,
Makkah,
Maketh.
the two lines above around the Makkah.
Yes, let me show you. Okay. Do you see the line here
Yes, sir.
that joins this word to that word?
Yes,
This
sir.
is a Maketh. It binds or joins or connects one word with another.
Okay, yes, sir.
And you have another Maketh between la and hai that joins them together, and another Maketh between hai and roi that joins them together. So all of this now becomes one word. Rather than one separate word each, they are now joined together and become one word. Now there is a tendency in the Hebrew accents for the accent to go to the last syllable. So even though originally each word by itself had its own accent, when each of them are joined together to become one word, each of these words lose their accent. And the only part of this group of words that hold on to their accent is the last word, because there is the tendency of the accent to go on the last syllable of a word. And now that this becomes one word, this becomes the last syllable of the word. So the accent remains on the last syllable. That's usually where it is found. So each of these has lost their accent because they have been joined together to make one word. The same is true with this joining together. L is joined together by this horizontal line called Maketh to Elohe. And Elohe is joined together to Israel by another horizontal line, which is also the Maketh. And this is El Elohe Israel that becomes one word. Originally, each word by itself would have an accent. But now that these three words have been joined together to form one word, the accent is lost from El, the accent is lost from Elohe, but the accent remains on the last word because the accent tends to move to the last syllable of a word in Hebrew grammar. This is God, the God of Israel. So what this part is explaining is that as separate words, not connected by that horizontal line called Maketh, each word has an accent. Once the words have been joined together by Maketh and have therefore become one word, it is only the last word in the group of words which holds on to its accent. And so another way of saying the same thing as in number 2 is the accent on the word before the Maketh is dropped. So the accent on the words, let me just go back to that section that I was on just a few seconds ago. Yes. The accent that was here is dropped because of the Maketh. The accent that was on this other word is dropped because of the Maketh. But there is no Maketh that comes after Israel here. So there is no dropping of the accent on this last word. The same is true with Be'er Lahairoi. The accent is dropped from this word because of the Maketh. The accent is also dropped from this word because of the Maketh. And the accent is dropped from this word because of the Maketh, but there is no Maketh after Roy, so the accent remains on this last word. So that is what I am pointing out here, that the accent on the word before the Maketh is dropped. The accent on the word before the Maketh is dropped. Okay, so the Maketh causes the word before it to lose its accent. The loss of an accent before a Maketh may often lead to a change in vowels. That is, the long vowel of the word before a Maketh becomes the corresponding short vowel. Let us look at an example of this. For example, Sire, which looks like this, one dot beside the other horizontally. Sire, which is a long E sound in English, changes to Segol, which is a short E, like the E in bed or fed or set or let. So let us say that you have the long E sound in a word, and then that word is joined together to another word by Maketh. We find that the accent not only leaves that word, but the long vowel has to be changed to a short vowel. The long E, for example, has to be changed to a short E. Okay, now I think I have time to at least look at one of these videos. So let me just make sure that you can hear the sound. I'm going to share the sound. So let us now wait for this tutorial to come on.
Can you hear me?
Oh, it hasn't come yet. It is in the process of being loaded. I'll just see if we can watch even one tutorial. It'll soon be coming on.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Can you see the video?
Seeing it loading, sir.
Yes, it's loading.
Makif. The makif is a short horizontal line that
I'm going to start it again and hopefully it will. Yeah.
The makif is a short horizontal line that connects two words that are associated to each other, closely associated to each other. So an example is Bnei Yisrael, the children, or literally the sons of Israel. Bnei, there's your makif. Let me write this thing. Hopefully I won't misspell it like I did once before. Bnei Yisrael. Kind of embarrassing when you misspell Israel. Okay, Bnei Yisrael. This here is your makif. Short horizontal hyphen-like line that connects two words. It literally means binder or connection. So it's kind of opposite the method we had before. Method causes a pause and therefore separates things. This joins things. In this case, it joins two words. It often causes a stress change. When you join the two, it's like the whole thing becomes one word. So any stress here gets lost, and it operates as one long big word. So the stress would be over here. And the stress change can cause vowel changes. So let's look at an example of that. Let's actually get a new page. This is quite common. This example, you see a word like this, 8, koli, 2 words. Koli. Okay, this means my voice. 8 is the direct object marker. It just marks the object of the verb. So if someone says, listen to what? Listen to my voice. 8 will tell you that what follows it is a direct object. So sometimes it'll be written like this, but sometimes the two will be connected with the makaf. Let me just leave it like that for the moment. And it will look like this. So everything's the same up here when it's connected by makaf. But when you do that, and it makes sense to connect this with a makaf because they're very closely connected. This is marking that this is the direct object. When you connect them, then it becomes like one word, the stress is over here, and that means this gets reduced. So when they're connected, you'll actually have a segol here. When they're not connected, you'll have a tsere here. So a makaf can cause vowel change. Another common example is kol. Kol means all or every. So let's write kol ish. Kol ish means every man, but sometimes you will see, and I'll just leave the vowel off for a moment, you'll see it connected, like this. Kol ish. And okay, we have our dagashlane there, but the long O gets reduced. Now what does it get reduced to? Any idea? The short O. Long O gets reduced to short O, which is this. This is not the kametz, this is the kametz hatuf. So this is another place where you see the kametz hatuf is when the kol is reduced because of the makaf. So makaf can cause vowel reduction again. So in summary, makaf is a joiner of two words that are closely connected, and it causes the two words to function as one word with stress change and sometimes associated vowel change.
Okay, let me reduce the screen. So we have seen how makaf can have the effect of changing a long vowel into a short vowel. Okay, now I'm going to be sending you this PowerPoint lesson on makaf. You can watch this second video on your own, but let me just review. Allow me to screen share still. Yeah, allow me to screen share. All right, so let me just go back over here. Yeah, so what we see is this. As separate words, not connected by makaf, each word has an accent. When the words have been joined together by makaf and have therefore become one word, it is only the last word in the group of words which holds on to its accent. The accent on the word before the makaf is dropped. The loss of an accent before a makaf may often lead to a change in vowels. That is, the long vowel of the word before a makaf becomes the corresponding short vowel. Okay, so that's what we have seen there. And to go back to the previous screen, we have seen examples of makaf in the English language: father-in-law, mother-in-law, son-in-law, and daughter-in-law. We have also seen the use of makaf in the English translation, in which the Hebrew words are written with their corresponding English letters, and we see the horizontal line that connects the different Hebrew words. We have seen it in both Genesis chapter 16, verses 8 to 14, and Genesis chapter 33, verses 16 and 18 through 20. So what is makaf? Makaf is a Hebrew word that means binding or binder or connection. It means to join together, and it joins two or more short words together, which are closely connected in meaning, into one word. It is a hyphen-like horizontal line which is placed between one word and another. And I showed you an illustration of different kinds of binders connecting separate pages into one booklet or into one book. Now, God permitting, next week, which is the week of the monthly tests, I want you to prepare this PowerPoint lesson by studying it so that you will be ready for your test on McCabe. That's next week, Friday, February 25. Do you have any further query or comment on McCabe?
No, sir.
Okay, so at this time we will be stopping, and Lord willing, next week there will be test number 3 on McCabe, which is binder or binder.